Hi, my name is Siegfried van Duffel. A while ago, we were asked to teach an ethics course for a whole lot of students, all the students who entered the university. And we thought, how can we teach such a course without it being one person talking in front of 200, 300, 400 students at a time? And so we came up with the idea that some of the lectures should be videotaped. That made it possible for us to have seminars for groups of students of 25 or 30. And so the Innovative Learning Studio made it possible for us to realize that dream. I must say, it took a whole lot of effort. For each course, for each topic in the course, we had we recorded three video lectures of about 10 minutes each. And that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it requires an enormous amount of work. So I wouldn't recommend anyone to do this on their own. I would recommend people who are interested in doing this to develop or to put together a team that can do this as a joint project. Well, what is my experience? My experience is that the videos are well liked by students, really. They like the project, they like the fact that they can watch these lectures at home. And I think they like the fact that despite the huge numbers of students that we serve, they can still have classes with small groups. And that is, for me, the very big advantage of this setup. So one thing that stimulated me to do this was an experience that I had when I was an undergraduate student. I had this course which was taught in front of 700 students, and the teacher was a really good teacher. He was someone who could explain difficult things very clearly, and he was also a charismatic figure. So I enjoyed this course tremendously. But the following semester, I went to this course again, just one more time, to have the experience again, and I noticed that the lecture was exactly the same. Even the jokes were told at exactly the same time. So later I thought, why not record such lectures? A lecture doesn't have to be different. It can be a really good lecture and be the same lecture year after year. And in philosophy, things don't develop so fast that you have to change your content every 2 years or so. So when you record lectures, one thing that becomes available suddenly is time. You can spend more time with students doing things that are more valuable than mere lecturing. I'm not saying that mere lecturing is not good. It's useful, it helps students to get the content, but there are other things that students need in order to learn, like seminars, for example, that you suddenly have time for if the lectures are recorded. We were facing quite a few challenges when I started recording. For example, the studio was still under development. And also, we were under a lot of time pressure because the course was already starting soon after we started recording the videos. So it was never really easy. And I think that people shouldn't underestimate the amount of work that it takes to do these recordings. An obvious thing is perhaps that the videos are scripted in advance, so you need to write a script before you start recording. But it's not so easy to write a script if you're not prepared for this, because teachers like us, we have a way of talking in front of the class and we have a way of writing. The way we write is not always the way we talk naturally. So that's one important difference. You need to learn how to write things that you can say in front of a camera. And then there's another thing. A video must be spoken faster than a normal lecture. You won't say things repeatedly in a video, and you will also have to say them faster, because otherwise students will just doze off when they're watching the video. So one thing that is probably not obvious as well is that it's really difficult to speak in front of a camera. At least it was for me. I learned a lot doing this work. And I learned it the hard way, in the sense that in the beginning, I had to repeat and repeat and repeat the same sentences, sometimes 5 times over, until they came out well. And that makes the work also quite hard, rewarding in a sense, but hard and sometimes frustrating while you're doing it. One of the things that I would probably do differently if I had to do this again would be to write the scripts a bit longer in advance. I didn't have time to do this time, but if I had had time to do this, some of the scripts would probably have been a bit more polished than they are. Another thing is that this time I made a conscious decision not to get involved in any of the choices in the way the videos look. I think that was the right decision because I'm not necessarily the best placed to make this decision. But if we had had more time, probably I might have been willing to get a bit more involved in making those choices. Other than that, I think, well, people will have to learn things on the spot, some of the things. So my experiences are just a couple of warnings. If you want to do this, make sure that you plan well ahead, make sure that you invest enough time in advance so that things will go a lot more smoothly than they otherwise might go. I think that a lot more courses should be transformed the way this course was transformed. But in order to do that, this studio probably needs more people. Because most of the creative work is right now done by just one person. And I don't see how the university can develop a whole lot of new transformed courses with only one person doing most of the work. So I would recommend that if the university thinks that this is valuable, that it also considers pouring a little bit more resources into this project. I would also like to recommend that if the university thinks that courses like this should be developed and that there should be many more of these courses, then it should also give a sense to teachers how developing such a course can count towards their progression. Because the time investment is really very intense and people might be discouraged by the prospect of investing a whole lot of time in a course like this because they might feel that only research counts really towards progression. So if the management can give a sense that these courses do not eat away time from what is really important in order to get promoted, then that might probably help to stimulate people to do this. For coursework, we will ask you to develop a concept map. This will enhance your ability to extract an argument from a text and also to represent the logical structure of the argument in a visual way. And this will help you develop your reasoning skills and also your ability to distinguish valid from invalid arguments. On 2 occasions, you will have the opportunity to work in class on the concept map. In the first society, everyone has a utility of 10. In the second society, half of the people have a utility of 15 and half have a utility of 5. Since utilitarianism is only concerned with the total amount of utility, it is totally indifferent between both societies. Many of us, I assume, would favor the society where utility is distributed more equally. One might say that this is because we care about people's happiness because we care about people. But utilitarianism seems to tell us that people only matters as producers, if you like, of happiness. Now imagine a society with an even more unequal distribution, but the total utility is slightly higher than in the previous 2 examples. For a utilitarian, society C is definitely the one that we should choose if A and B are the only alternatives. Meaning I wouldn't say, oh yeah, do this because it's so much fun. That wouldn't be genuine. I can say, do this because it's really valuable. It really delivers something better than average courses that are taught in an auditorium.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Thanks.
good.